As a young boy, I never learned to swim, and until I was 26, I always was afraid that my buddies, especially on my basketball and baseball and soccer teams, would throw me in the deep end if they heard that I couldn't swim, and I was terrified. And so I would never talk about it ever. And so one day I just decided to go out to this little lake and try to learn to doggy paddle and swim, and it freaked me out. I didn't like it at all. So at about the age of 36, I was a priest, and I was in Rochelle, Illinois, and this woman there was a lifeguard instructor, and she was head of this community pool. And I said to her, I have this tremendous fear. I can't swim, and I'm terrified of water. And I said, is there any way you could teach me, put me in a class, teach me, but I don't want to be around anybody because they're going to say I'm a priest in a bathing suit. And I just didn't want that. It was at a time where, early in my priesthood, and I didn't want a lot of talk. So she and her two sons, who were very good swimmers, decided to help me to learn how to swim. Well, then I got so comfortable with swimming after about 2 years that she said, do you want to become a lifeguard? And I said, well, I'm a priest. And she goes, yeah, but you're a firefighter. And I said, yeah. And she said, why don't you learn to lifeguard in case you ever needed to use it? So I did. And then I became an instructor of lifeguards. At that time, she said to me, her name was Marianne Swanson, why don't you learn to dive? And I said, I'm afraid to dive. The depths, it's dark. You remember, I already have a fear. I had a fear of water. And so then I did that, and soon I'm diving for the fire department. Mostly recovery. I didn't rescue anybody. I wanted to rescue someone in my life, but I recovered bodies. Mostly trapped in quarries and dams. But my specialization now is guns and knives. I dive for weapons off of bridges. Fox River, different places, the Rock River. Anyway, I grew into a love of water, and so I wanted to get my sailing license. And so I started to learn to sail. And I've sailed the British Virgin Islands, I've sailed all over the world, mostly near the equator where it's warmer, and the Caribbean winds and things like that. What happens is that after you turn off the engine, it's so peaceful, and you just hear this whoosh and whoosh and whoosh of the wind, and it goes into your soul. And it's like, you feel like the Holy Spirit, Whew. It's peaceful, and it's energizing, and it's life-giving, and all you are is the elements of the wind, and it blows you, and you're like, wow, you're picking up knots and more knots and more knots. And you can even hear a collective, like, you ever been on a roller coaster? And they kind of like, even the adults, woo! That's what you do. You hear these woos. And it's from adults who are like pretty staid and intelligent, and, and I just so enjoy it. And it's like, that's cool.